Hi, it's me again, Atanas from NiceToFilmYou. You're watching the second episode of my documentary, Adapting to Covid-19. In the next few minutes, you'll meet a great person that found his adaptation through proactivity and action. This video's hero is Dave Critchley, executive head chef and director of one of the most distinguished restaurants in Liverpool, LuBan. As most of us, he had his hard moments, but finally, he found his way through success. Success in preserving his brand, keeping together his team, and even supporting the vulnerable people of Liverpool. I am sure you will find Dave's story moving and inspiring. Please share it to reach as many people as possible. To see the next stories of my documentary Adapting to Covid-19, subscribe to my channel. If you have a story you want to tell about how you adapted to Covid-19, please contact me to become a character in my documentary and share this story together. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dave Critchley. I'm the executive head chef and director of LuBan restaurant in Liverpool. Also a husband and a father of a 5-year-old child. And yes, born and raised in Liverpool. Before COVID hit, we just launched LuBan restaurant, which is a really exciting Chinese-inspired restaurant. I travelled out to China in 2019, spent some time with the chefs out there, learning, understanding some of Chinese culture, and we came back and launched LuBan restaurant, which was an incredible opening, a really exciting time for us. And things were going really well. It was a really popular restaurant. We had great feedback straight away. And then, unfortunately, just after our opening, which was in November, we come through Christmas, had a great Christmas time, into New Year, and then, as you know, things started to go downhill kind of February, March time, and eventually we closed the doors towards the end of March. Now that was an awful time for me personally, for the other directors of the business. We were terrified. What would happen to the staff? What would happen to us, our jobs, our restaurant? We just had no idea what was happening, and that was a really worrying time for us. When the message came from the government, they were going to support the staff with furlough. That was such a huge relief for us, because at least we knew then that our staff would be well looked after, and potentially the business had a chance of survival then and popping out the other side whenever that would be. I mean, I think we all imagined it would only be a short amount of time, maybe a few weeks, a month maybe. Here we are sat here a year later on now, and we're still concerned about how long this is going to continue. So in our first year of trading as a restaurant, we only managed to trade for 5 months out of the 12, and we were shut down and locked down 3 times in our opening year, which is obviously quite disastrous for a brand new business, especially in hospitality, the first year being so crucial. But yeah, so I'd take us back to that very first week in March, where there was conversations between us. Were we going to close the restaurant? At the time, the message from the government was, don't go out to restaurants, don't go to bars, don't mix with people. But at the same time, we weren't told to close. We had no option but to try and stay open and try and keep bringing money in to pay the staff, to pay the bills, to pay the rent. And we didn't know anything different other than hospitality, making food and drink and serving people. So that was probably why that week was so awful. We were watching the numbers of customers coming through the doors dwindling, dropping to virtually nothing. A trickle of customers coming through for those last couple of weeks. And eventually we decided just to close the restaurant because we wanted to keep our staff safe. And the numbers coming through the doors didn't stack up anyway. It was pointless opening the doors for that amount of people. We got all the food from the restaurant, everything that was in the freezers, in the fridges, and we distributed it out across Liverpool to homeless shelters, food banks, anywhere we thought that food could be well received and well used. We didn't know when the restaurant would be back open again, but we did know we didn't want any of that food going to waste. We distributed it out across and hopefully helped some people at the time, which was fantastic. Made us all feel a little bit better about such a terrible week that we were in at the time. And then we basically packed up some food parcels for the staff with what was left, handed them all a food parcel and basically sent them on their way. We didn't know what was going on, what was going to happen. We just said we'd be in touch regularly to make sure they were okay and with any updates at the time. So within a few days, we realised our decision was probably the right one, and the government told all the restaurants to close. And within another day or two, there was then a support package put in place for the businesses. And at that moment, there was a collective sigh of relief, and we knew, right, okay, we might survive this now. But that got me thinking then. We'd spent a lot of time, effort, money building the brand LuBan, setting up the restaurant, and I certainly didn't want to lose the momentum, and I decided I would do everything I possibly could to keep the LuBan brand alive. And we instantly created boxes that could be sent to people's homes. This is in the first week of the very first lockdown in March of 2020. Had to think then, what year are we in now? So we were probably the trailblazers for the meals at home, to be honest. I didn't see anyone else at the time doing that. We instantly decided that we'd take our spices, sauces, and they could be posted out to people across the UK, and they could join in cooking along live with me. So I was doing live cook-alongs every week through the very first lockdown, with people buying the box and then joining us on Facebook and Instagram and Zoom. And that was really good fun. But I was also got to thinking, there were so many of my friends who were local suppliers, local businesses, and they were in a bad place. They were just like, the restaurants have closed. What do we do? The shops have closed. We can't sell our produce in shops. And I got thinking, and I was starting to work on a plan of what I could do to help those guys out. My butcher, my veg guy, fish, bakers. And we were also seeing the supermarkets. They were a mess. There was food running out on the shelves. There was no delivery slots available for anyone who was elderly or needed to stay in at home. So we basically created an online supermarket in Liverpool using local suppliers, and we called it The Lids, Liverpool Independent Delivered Supplies. Bandied around the suppliers, we set up a website, and people were able to place their orders on our website with all their local suppliers and get it all delivered by our guys. And that was really popular, really busy from the get-go. I was on the phone probably 7 days a week, placing orders, making sales, trying to get help and support from the council or grants or anything we could get hold of just to help us get this project moving. And it was a crazy time. I don't think I've worked as hard in my life as I did through that first lockdown. So I was working 6 or 7 days a week on the online supermarket, and I was doing the live cook-alongs with LuBan. We were coming in, making the produce and selling the produce there. And that's where that first lockdown took us. So we certainly got on the front foot, created a couple of businesses, the online LuBan at home model, and also the Lids delivered supermarket. So yeah, it was an incredibly busy time for us then, and that has just gone on from strength to strength. The LuBan at home business has grown, and we're now delivering full meals, full banquets all across the UK. We've got national distribution in boxes and ice packs and chilled refrigeration and stuff like that. The Lids supermarket is as busy as ever. There's 2 drivers out on the road most days. And we've managed to make a huge amount of sales for our local businesses as well. So we've managed to do really well there. While all that was going on, I also identified a need to help people in communities where there wasn't any money, people who were normally struggling before COVID hit. And so we set up a community. It's not quite a charity yet, but we are aiming for that. It's probably a community project called Knowsley Kitchen. And we raise funds, which we get from the supermarket, from Lids, and anywhere else we can find funds. And we'll go out and buy boxes of fresh fruit, vegetables, bread, the basics, basically essentials, and we'll deliver them out to families. But yeah, so we've gone back into a third lockdown now in Liverpool. We got through Christmas again, really busy time, and yeah, it's been really difficult with my son. School closes, it opens again, it closes. I've got to try and fit homeschooling in as well. And my wife's been a great support there, but she's working also from home, so it has been a massive challenge. Juggling everything that's going on, but yeah, it's been a pretty crazy year, and I think what we've taken from that is, yeah, just don't stand still, don't sit down and just face defeat. It wasn't ever an option for me to sit down and sit on furlough and not do anything. We didn't sit back, we just went for it. I tried to think of new projects and new ways of keeping, like we said, the brand alive, keeping ourselves busy, keeping our staff busy. And this last 2 weeks with everything going on, we've managed to bring a lot of the team back in off furlough. And they're helping on the supermarket, they're helping build our LuBan kitchen boxes at home, they're helping build the community project boxes. So yeah, not only have we managed to bring them back into employment again, but we're keeping them busy, and that's going to be good for their mental health. It's good for them to see people again. We're still taking all the precautions, wearing the masks, regularly testing, staying socially distanced, but they get to see people and interact with people, which has been fantastic. My adaptation to COVID was very much get on the front foot and attack the opportunities, work harder almost. We did far more. We didn't sit back and just let whatever was going to happen. We got on the front foot. We were very proactive in terms of, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and we just went and did it basically. And as a result, we still have a business that's still active. It's still very much present in people's mind's eye. People can see us, we're busy, we're still producing what we were doing. We're still alive basically. There was a very big chance that if we hadn't done anything, the business could have just disappeared. We still have large amounts of rent to pay because that's never been addressed really. The restaurant, as you know, if it's not making any sales, it can't be paying any of the bills, and we still have a lot of bills to pay, but we are working on them now. And the sales that we're making in the online side of things are certainly helping towards that. The near future is, obviously we'd love to see the restaurant back open again and life returning back to normal. I'm not sure exactly how long that will take. We are estimating that it could be May, June before restaurants return back to normal trade. And I just believe that we'll never really go back to how things were probably for another year or so, to be honest. I think we're going to have to learn to live with COVID and whatever next strain appears on the scene. We have to be ready for that. So, like you said, we do have other businesses that are now active and busy at the moment, and they will continue to grow as well. So we now have several routes to market, as it were. We've got our online businesses going, we've got the supermarket going, and this shows very much how, as a restaurant team, we've suddenly turned into several smaller teams all running their own departments, and we've just had to massively adapt, and it has been a big challenge for a lot of people. We now have waitresses who are no longer serving customers directly, but they may be on the phone speaking to people every day and dealing with orders and issues. The kitchen team is no longer serving a restaurant full of people. It is pre-making meals, packaging them up, putting them in boxes and sending them out. So yeah, we have three different businesses now that we're operating, and so long term we want them all to grow, and collectively as a group, then that's probably how we survive as a business. But yeah, it's 100% stay positive and keep moving. That would be my message, is keep moving. Even if it's a small thing, achieve it. Every day, achieve something small. But by the end of that week, you've achieved a lot of things. Do you know what I mean? So I think that was my mantra throughout every lockdown. I wanted to achieve something every day. And whether that was something small and it was family related, or it was something bigger and it was business related, I accomplished something and I achieved something, and that was good for my mental health, for my physical well-being, as well as for the brand, for the business, for the family. So that's probably my biggest message, is just stay positive. Things will improve, and just keep moving forwards. Tiny steps if needs be, but always keep moving forwards, and hopefully someone will get that message and it will help someone out there, hopefully.